Welcome back, everybody. Today's deep dive is going to be a little out there.
Oh,
Yeah. So we're looking at this YouTube video, and it's about The Simpsons,
good.
but it also gets into like predictions they've gotten right, and then brings in biblical prophecy too.
Wow, that's quite a combination of topics.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, but it's interesting how it all kind of connects to like this idea that we as humans just really want to know what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that fascination with the future is something that's been with us since like the dawn of time.
Totally. Okay, so let's start with The Simpsons and like their track record with predictions.
Yeah.
I mean, if everybody remembers the Trump one, right?
Oh, yeah, the one with him going down the escalator.
Exactly. Like that was spot on, and it even had the year 2024 on a sign in the background.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they got that right.
Right. So do you think they actually like knew he was going to be president, or was it just like a lucky guess?
Well, I think it's important to remember that The Simpsons has been on the air for like over 30 years.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So statistically speaking, they're bound to get some things right just by chance.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, they're always satirizing current events and playing with social trends.
Right.
So some of their predictions might just be like really astute observations.
Okay, I see your point.
Like they're not necessarily seeing into the future. They're just
Yeah.
really good at understanding the present and where things might be headed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there are some predictions that are just so specific it makes you wonder.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, like the one where Disney buys 20th Century Fox.
Oh, yeah. They even had the logo. Like, exactly right.
Exactly. It's those kinds of details that make you stop and think, like, how do they know that?
It's pretty freaky, right?
It is. But I think there's also a psychological effect at play here. Like, our brains are naturally drawn to patterns and connections,
Oh, yeah.
even if those connections are just coincidence.
So you're saying like we tend to remember the times when they get things right, but we forget about all the times when they're wrong.
We totally do. It's
Oh,
like confirmation bias.
yeah.
If we already, like The Simpsons, we're more likely to notice and remember the times they get things right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like when you learn a new word and then suddenly you see it everywhere.
Oh, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Our brains do the same thing with these predictions.
Interesting. So are we saying that the Simpsons aren't actually predicting the future, but just kind of reflecting our own like tendency to find patterns?
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Okay.
Their writers are clearly very insightful,
Hmm.
but our own brains definitely play a role in how we perceive those predictions.
Okay, so it's like a combination of like clever writing and our own like
Exactly.
psychological quirks.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty fascinating.
It is. And it gets even more interesting when you bring in like artificial intelligence into the mix.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, this video uses Chat GPT to generate some potential Simpsons predictions for 2025.
Oh, wow. Using AI to predict the future. That's
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's like taking our fascination with predictions to a whole new level.
So what did Chat GPT come up with anything crazy?
Well, one of the predictions was Ivanka Trump running for president in 2028.
Hmm, interesting.
It definitely taps into some current anxieties about like political dynasties and
Oh yeah, for sure.
inherited power.
Yeah.
It's a topic that's being debated a lot right now.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if that one actually comes true.
Yeah, I will.
What else did Chat GPT predict?
Some of the other predictions were more like technologically focused,
Oh, okay, like what?
like advanced pet translators,
Ooh,
1-second makeup application,
wow.
and even the rise of virtual weddings.
Virtual weddings, huh?
Yeah, like imagine getting married in the metaverse.
That's pretty out there.
It is, but it also kind of reflects our growing reliance on technology and how it's changing the way we interact with each other.
Yeah.
Sure. But a pet translator, though, that would be pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, I know, right? I would finally be able to understand what my dog is barking about.
Right. It's like it taps into that desire for connection, even with our furry friends.
Totally. It's funny how even the most outlandish predictions often reflect like these deeper human desires or anxieties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about The Simpsons, we've talked about AI predictions,
Mhm.
but now let's talk about biblical prophecy, because that seems like a pretty big leap from
It is a big shift.
cartoons and AI.
Yeah, for sure.
So this video explores the accuracy of prophecies about Jesus
Right.
and presents them as evidence of divine inspiration.
And it's important to remember that we're now dealing with like deeply held religious beliefs. you know?
Of course.
It's not our place to judge or debate those
Right.
beliefs.
We're just here to explore the ideas presented in the video.
Exactly.
So what are some of the prophecies that they focus on?
Well, they highlight prophecies about Jesus' birthplace, the details of his crucifixion, and even specific events like water flowing from his side when he was pierced with a spear.
Wow, that's pretty specific.
It is. And these are predictions that have resonated with believers for centuries.
It really makes you think about the human fascination with prophecy across different cultures and time periods.
It does, doesn't it?
What is it about knowing the future, whether it's through a cartoon or a religious text, that just draws us in?
It's a really big question, isn't it?
It is.
Maybe it's about seeking a sense of order or control in a world that often feels so unpredictable. Or maybe the deeper longing for connection with something bigger than ourselves.
Wow, that's a really interesting perspective. So we've got The Simpsons maybe predicting the future, AI weighing in with its own predictions, and now biblical prophecy. It's a really unique blend of pop culture, technology, and spirituality.
It is. And it all speaks to that fundamental human desire to understand the unknown and make sense of the world around us.
I agree. And we're only in the first part of this deep dive, and already it's my mind is blown.
I know. It's amazing how these seemingly disparate threads can come together to create such a rich tapestry.
It is. This is already shaping up to be an incredible exploration of predictions and their impact on how we view the world.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see where this deep dive takes us next.
Me too. This is going to be good. It's kind of wild to think about The Simpsons and biblical prophecy in the same breath.
Yeah, it is a pretty unusual pairing.
Right. On one hand, you've got this cartoon that's meant to be funny. And then on the other, you've got these ancient texts that are super serious,
Yeah, but I think it's interesting how they both tap into this human need to know what's coming next.
Right. We're all kind of obsessed with the future in some way.
Absolutely. I think it's this innate desire to understand where we're headed and what's in store for us.
Yeah, totally. And maybe it's also about wanting to feel like we have some control over things,
Oh, yeah, definitely. The world can feel pretty chaotic and unpredictable sometimes. So I think predictions, whether they're from a cartoon or a religious text,
Right.
offer this sense of order and predictability.
A sense that things are maybe unfolding according to some kind of plan.
Exactly. Someone or something is in control.
Even if it's just Matt Groening, right?
Right. But it's funny how we tend to apply different levels of scrutiny depending on where the prediction is coming from.
Oh, yeah. What do you mean?
Well, if the Simpsons make a prediction and it doesn't come true, we might just kind of laugh it off.
Right.
But if a respected religious text makes a prediction and it doesn't come true,
Yeah.
that could be a major crisis of faith for some people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Our beliefs definitely play a role in how we interpret these things.
Totally. And it's not just about religion either. Any prediction that aligns with our existing beliefs,
Right.
we tend to hold it to a higher standard.
We're looking for evidence to support what we already think we know.
Exactly. It's confirmation bias all over again.
So are we all just fooling ourselves then when we get all excited about a Simpsons prediction coming true?
Well, it's not quite that simple. I think it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Yes, confirmation bias is definitely at play, but I think it's also about the power of storytelling and the way our brains make connections.
Oh, okay. So you're saying we see a prediction in The Simpsons.
Right.
And then years later, a similar event happens in real life. And our brains just automatically connect the two.
Our brains love to find patterns even when they don't really exist.
It's our brains are conspiracy theorists or something.
Kind of. But it's also what makes this whole topic so fascinating.
Right. It's this weird mix of psychology, cultural trends, and even a little bit of mystery.
It really is. We're trying to understand how our minds work, how we make sense of the world, and what our relationship with the future really is.
It's deep, man.
It is. Okay, so let's go back to those AI-generated predictions for a sec.
Okay, yeah. Those were pretty wild.
So some of them, like the pet translator, seem like pretty natural progressions of existing technology.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening.
But then you have predictions, like the 1-second makeup applicator.
Oh, yeah, that one was out there.
Right. That seems straight out of science fiction.
So should we just take all these AI predictions with a grain of salt then?
I think it's always wise to approach any prediction with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay.
Whether it's from an AI, The Simpsons, or an ancient text.
Right.
The future is not fixed.
Yeah.
It's shaped by so many different factors. Human choices, unforeseen events, the unpredictable nature of innovation.
Okay, so AI can give us like potential scenarios, but it can't account for everything.
Exactly. AI is a powerful tool,
Mm.
but it's not a crystal ball.
Right, right.
And that's what I find so engaging about this whole topic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about blindly accepting predictions, but using them as a starting point for
Right.
critical thinking and thoughtful discussion.
Like a way to explore different possibilities.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the future is not something that just happens to us.
Mm.
It's something we actively create.
I like that. It's like we're not just passengers on this journey through time.
Right.
We're the ones driving the bus.
Yeah. And that realization can be both exciting and kind of scary.
Why scary?
Well, because it means we have a responsibility to make wise choices, and consider the consequences of our actions.
For sure. For sure.
But I think that's a good segue into the broader theme of this deep dive, this whole idea of why we're so fascinated with predictions.
Right. This video with its like mix of pop culture, AI, and religious prophecy, it really shows how much we want to know what's going to happen.
It does. But I think it also invites us to examine our own biases,
Oh, yeah.
our hopes, our fears about the future.
Like it's not just about the predictions themselves.
Right.
It's about what those predictions reveal about us.
Exactly. It's like holding up a mirror to our collective psyche.
It's deep, man.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about the Simpsons predictions. We've explored the world of AI. And we've touched on the significance of biblical prophecy.
Right.
But what does it all mean?
Yeah, what does it all tell us about ourselves and our relationship with the future?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. And I think in the next part of our deep dive, we'll try to unpack that question and see what insights we can find.
Sounds good. I'm ready for part 3. Man, this deep dive has been quite a ride.
It has, hasn't it?
Like we started out talking about The Simpsons, and now we're like deep in the realm of philosophy and psychology.
Cool, right? It's amazing how these things all connect.
Yeah, it's like The Simpsons is a gateway drug to like existential questions.
Maybe so.
But seriously, like, one thing that's really stuck with me is this idea of how much we crave order and predictability.
Yeah, that's definitely a recurring theme.
Like whether it's The Simpsons or AI or even like ancient prophecies,
Right.
We're always looking for like a glimpse of a predetermined path.
And I think that desire for order is like deeply ingrained in us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like from an evolutionary standpoint, it makes total sense.
Right, like for our ancestors being able to predict things like weather patterns or the movements of animals,
Yeah,
that was essential for survival.
totally. So
Yeah.
maybe that same drive is what fuels our fascination with predicting the future.
I think so. It's like we're trying to find a sense of control in a world that often feels very
Yeah.
unpredictable and chaotic.
Right, like predictions give us this like illusion of certainty.
Exactly. Even if those predictions turn out to be wrong,
Yeah,
the act of seeking them out can be comforting.
like it gives us something to hold on to.
A sense that
But-
maybe things aren't as random as they seem.
Right, and let's not forget the entertainment value.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like predicting the future is just plain fun.
It is. It's like a game we play with ourselves and with each other.
Yeah, like who hasn't made a prediction about like the Super Bowl or the Oscars?
Exactly. It's a way to connect with others and spark conversations.
And it's also a way to test our own like powers of observation and intuition.
Totally. Like we're always looking for those little clues and patterns that might give us an edge.
It's like we're all wannabe fortune tellers.
In a way. I guess we are.
But I think you've hit on something really important here.
What's that?
These predictions, they become part of our culture.
Yeah.
Like they shape how we think about the world and the possibilities that lie ahead.
Right. Like The Simpsons, for example. It's not just a cartoon. It's like a reflection of our society and our anxieties about the future.
Yeah, and when a prediction from the show comes true,
Right.
it reinforces this idea that The Simpsons is somehow tapped into something deeper.
Like they have this uncanny ability to see what's coming.
Exactly. It's like they're the modern day Nostradamus.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, maybe not Nostradamus, but they're definitely onto something.
Yeah, they are.
So this deep dive has really made me realize that our perception of the future is shaped by so many things.
Like what?
Like psychology, cultural trends, technology, even our own personal biases.
Absolutely. It's a complex interplay of factors.
So with all that in mind, how should we approach predictions then?
Well, I think the key is to be critical.
Okay.
Don't just blindly accept any prediction that comes your way.
Right.
Do your own research, question your assumptions, consider the source.
So it's not about ignoring predictions altogether.
Right.
It's about using them as a tool for critical thinking.
Exactly. Predictions can be valuable prompts for reflection and discussion. They can help us explore different possibilities and challenge our own ideas.
So the future is not set in stone.
Nope.
It's something we actively create through our choices and actions.
I completely agree.
This has been an incredible journey exploring the world of predictions.
It has been fun.
We've gone from cartoon coincidences to AI-generated scenarios and even ancient prophecies.
It's been quite a ride.
And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that the future is not a fixed destination. It's a vast and uncharted territory that we have the power to explore and create.
Well said, and I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of predictions.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed the ride and that you'll keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those predictions coming.
Until next time.
Stay curious out there, folks.